All right, wanted to give a quick walkthrough on double bottoms and double tops. It's something that's pretty popular and used pretty much by almost every trader I've ever listened to. It's one of the most popular techniques out there. And so just wanted to give kind of a quick view of how I see it and some of the things that I also see that people do wrong when they're showing tutorials on how they work. Um, so the basics of it is that a double top or double bottom. If we come over here and we just say a double top would be the market is moving like this, it pulls back, it goes up and can't get higher and turns around. So this right here across the top here is your double top, okay? Now, in order to validate a double top to say that it's now reversed and it's going the other way, it needs to break through where the previous low was. And then if you're looking at a double bottom, it's basically just the opposite to where it would be here, and then breaking through that area is when it becomes the confirmed double bottom. And now you have a set trade that you can take. People will enter here and then go about their business that way. Me personally, I look at it a little bit differently, but it's the concept is still basically the same. So let me find a good example. So this right here is a good double bottom. So you have it push down right here, pull back. It tries to get lower. It can't. It tries even again, and then finally goes. So that's more like a triple bottom, in my opinion. But if we look at this and we say, where did the double bottom come in? So right here. So first of all, when I draw my SNR areas, I draw it based on a zone. So some people will draw it based on the wicks. Some people draw it based on the bodies. I do a zone. So I draw a zone from the highest body to the lowest wick if it's on the bottom. If it's on the top, I'm going to do the lowest body and the highest wick, just inversed. Um, so this to me is when it comes down here and we see that, that's now we have our zone, right? So what I want to see, if I'm going to call it a double bottom, is I want to see a rejection candle come out, okay? So I want to see it go away and close away from that zone, okay? We have that, so now we have a confirmed zone. So now when it comes back, what I'm looking for is for a buyer candle to come out of here. And once I see that, that's when I say, okay, now that's a double bottom, okay? Now, does that mean that I trade that based on that idea right there? No, that would be pretty dangerous to trade it based on that. But that I would call a double bottom. If I had a large position on it and I see that, I may close my trade because of that. Um, if I'm expecting it to reverse and I'm expecting it to be a buy, I may consider getting in here with a big stop loss or something like that. But typically I'll wait for a little bit more confirmation. But you can see the double bottom comes in. He does get a poke lower, creating that triple bottom, and then he turns and goes up. So that's the way that I view that. So here is that line that I was talking about that people will oftentimes, if I can figure out where my stuff's at. This would be that line that people wait for it to cross, and then they buy it once it crosses that area. So a lot of times though, what you'll see on double bottoms is you'll see the double bottom form, and you'll see it go above there, and then it'll come back in and then go. And that's basically it's a form of a trap. Some people call it getting a better price, that sort of thing. But it's basically you get a rejection off the low, it comes up, pokes higher, and then goes. And that kind of traps different people. It traps the double bottom people that are trying to buy it, and that sort of thing. But that's essentially what a double bottom is. Um, let's see if we can find another one. So this is a good example of a failed double top. So the way that I look at it, I would draw my zone right here as it's going up, and then this one wouldn't be a good example of a failed double bottom because when we see it come back up here and it hits this top here, this sell candle never even leaves the zone. So to me, I probably wouldn't be too worried about that sell candle until I get one that closes outside the zone. But it is technically a double top. You could call it that for sure. So then as this guy heads down, let's see. So here's another double bottom. Now this one's going to be a little bit different, okay? This is a double bottom, but it's not a double bottom on the 5 minute. So I see this a lot, is that people would refer to this as a double bottom, but the problem is that this is a double bottom on the 15. This is not a double bottom on the 5. Here's your bottom. Instead of it coming back down here, it goes and creates a higher low and creates an uptrend. So this isn't a double bottom to me on the 5 minute. This is a double bottom. When it comes back, you could say even here is where the double bottom comes in, and that's a move that the 15 sees. You can tell that the 15 sees it because of the space in between here. So because this goes up and takes forever to come back down, there's this big gap in between the legs. And that's an indication that the 15 can see it. It's moved so much that it's now the 15 is aware of what's happening. And that's a double bottom on the 15. And the reason why that's important is because if you're trying to trade a double bottom on the 5, your movements are expected to be different. You're not expecting all of this different mess. The 15 is obviously a much bigger time frame. So when a 15 move happens, it's harder to predict it from the 5 because you can't see what the 15 is actually seeing. So and here's a really interesting view of this though, okay? So here's the 15 coming down, the 15 pulls back, it has an attempt, it comes back, has another attempt, and then this is that area, right? That I was saying like once a double bottom comes in, if it gets higher, that's when people start to buy it. So you can see right here it gets higher, so we would have had people buying this right here. People would have bought that. Impatient traders that buy before the candles are closed like me, I'm one of those. I do it all the time, and I shouldn't, but I can't help myself sometimes. But as this gets higher, people are buying this. Okay. Now, once they're buying that, they're saying, okay, the market's reversing. We now have a double bottom. It's confirmed by going higher. Where would you put your stop loss? Right here. Okay, maybe you would say, what's our ATR? 34. So I'm going to do half an ATR below that area right there. So I'll go 15 right there, right? Something like that. So I'd put my stop loss down here so that I have a little bit of room in case it wants to poke me. And what does it do? It still gets you. So essentially what that is that's this seller getting a better price and then he's pushing the market down and getting lower. Now on the 15, this is more than likely just a wick. This is probably not a break lower. This is just a wick. And then it comes back up and I'm not even sure what it does after that. It eventually goes back down. Okay, cool. So the point is, though, is that this was a double bottom on the 15. It just didn't reverse the market. It just continued on afterwards. But you can clearly see how that trapped people, where people would have went up here and bought it, and then it comes down, hits their stop losses. Now they're like, oh man, do I buy it again? And then they're gonna lose. Or do they then say, well, it's a sell now, and then they, are able to catch that sell. So that's kind of the breakdown of what a double bottom looks like. Just remember that if you have a space in here, or if you have even an ABC, like a small trend that starts to form on the 5 minute, you know that the 15 minute is now seeing it. And that's a very important part because it's going to react differently. This is going to take longer for it to roll over. It's going to take longer for it to continue going because now the 15 is involved and he takes longer than the 5 minute. So just keeping that sort of thing in mind that you're going to have these issues if you have that gap in between your double bottoms. It means that it's not a double bottom for you; it's a double bottom for someone else. So just wanted to kind of give a quick recap on that. If you have any questions or want to see something else, just let me know. I'd love to try to help further. And let's just keep getting better together.